Welcome back to Thisday Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Still with me here in the studio, I have Professor Bola Akintenwa, Director General, Bolitac Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies, and former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. Yemi Adamolekun is also here, Executive Director, Enough is Enough. And we also have Professor Victor Ariole, Professor of French and Francophone Studies at the University of Lagos, Nigeria. Well, Professor Akintenwa, let me start with you. We had as our guest the incident manager of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 in Nigeria, and is currently the acting national coordinator of the Presidential Task Force. And he made a number of points about what has happened this week, on Friday, Saturday. On Friday, we had the rollout, which Arise News covered extensively. And then on Saturday, we had the president and the vice president and some frontline health workers taking the vaccine. And he has tried to address some of the issues of concern which we raised with him. Prof, what are your observations with this rollout? Do you think we're in a good place with the 3.9 million vaccine doses that we received? Although I know Professor Ariole has issues with the figures, but what is certain is that we already have the first consignment from the COVAX facility.
Well, you see, for a professional student like me, I cannot but always have problems with declaratory statements given by government. Starting with what was shown on the screen, the House Speaker, Gbajabiamila, raised the issue of conspiratorial arguments. He was trying to say vaccines, that vaccine is the same thing, that we should not quarrel about which type. But medical reports have always told us that, look, like Dr. Mokhtar Mohammed has just told us that in response to the question you asked him, why is it that South Africa rejected what we are taking? All right? Why should South Africa opt for Johnson & Johnson? Mukhtar Mohammed made us to understand that the peculiarity, the variant of the COVID we have is the one we have in the UK. Majority of people tested is the variant in UK, and that the South African variant, we never had any single one in Nigeria. That was the answer he gave. That's now to tell you that vaccine cannot be vaccine, contrary to the pretensions of the House Speaker. That's the first problem. He's always sending wrong signals to the people of Nigeria at all times, as distinct from the issue of statistics you are raising with Professor Ariole. The second point is that at this same level of conspiratorial theories, I asked myself, why is it that Nigerians, for instance, prefer to go for vaccination in Ghana? Why are Nigerians with dual nationality going abroad to go and take their vaccination there are not in Nigeria? Now, from a research inquiry, in France, only 3.2 million French people have accepted to be vaccinated. It has taken the government of Macron now to, evolve a strategy to enlighten the public. The belief in France is that the Oxford vaccine that we have opted for, they believe that it's not efficient enough. They raise qualms about the efficacy. Now, if only 3.2 million people are prepared and they are begging all other French people to take what we have joyfully taken, but they reject, we as students cannot but begin to sit down and ask what really is wrong with that. A critical point raised by Muhammadu Buhari is this. You said we do have about 200 million population, and we do have probably 4 million, as he said. The question that occurs to me is this. Why is it that the government of Nigeria is assuming that the totality of 200 million people in Nigeria are infected and therefore should be given the vaccine? Or are you implying?
No. The government of Nigeria is not assuming that 200 million people are infected.
I am coming.
Their projection is to achieve herd immunity.
I am coming. I understand this. This is why we, first of all, always begin with hypotheses. And then you now want to verify them. The issue is this. The mere fact that you are saying immunity should be for 200 million is hypothetical.
Not for 200 million. For 70% of the population.
Whether it is even 70%.
About 140 million people.
Okay.
Look, you are still buttressing my position differently. I'm coming to that. You see, the issue is this. The point I want to deduct, that is on the basis of deductive methodology, is this. If I am not infected by COVID-19, must I be vaccinated?
How will you know that you are not infected?
Well, I am not infected.
No.
At least for now.
You could be asymptomatic.
Yes, look. Well, if I'm asymptomatic, it is still hypothetical. But the issue is that this vaccination itself is experimental.
That is the point, experimental. That's what I want to
Nobody knows whether President Muhammadu Buhari, our president, will still have side effects tomorrow.
There is already an official statement indicating that he has no side effects.
That is beginning now. No.
How? It's over 24 hours that he took the
Why
vaccine.
was it that in the first variant of COVID-19, they gave 14 days to determine whether or not you are infected? That means it is gradualist. So we never can tell. In the next 1 month, let us wait and see. So this time, as a student, I am more interested in a scientific education. It's not, please, there is politics of vaccination internationally.
Of course, there is no doubt
there is politics
about
of it.
Professor Akinterewa and Professor Ariole, I know the two of you are anti-vaxxers.
Well, it's not a matter of being anti-vaccine oriented.
Okay, what is it about?
No, you see, we are in a world we know that Africans are not leading. So those leading, they should really get people to be confident of what they are proposing.
Precisely.
That's the problem. We know we are not leading, and those who are leading, especially vaccine-wise. Now, if I say what I want to say now, you tell me this is an international platform, I'm not saying. Are you telling me that our scientists don't know how to produce vaccine? They know, but we are still trying to, collaborate with the international community.
Vaccination is big-time business.
What I'm saying? You can't tell me that people in the University of Lagos Science, the faculty or chemistry department or biochemistry department do not know how to produce vaccine. The possibility is there, but we just want to collaborate with the international community. That's all.
We have experts.
It is not that it's not. At a given time, when even I wasn't born, I was told that somebody produced cholera vaccine or whatever, and it became a contentious issue in the international world.
Professor Akinterewa and Professor Ariole, in Ede, Osun State,
exactly.
There is a Professor Happy who has led a team, and they've come up with, a Nigerian version of the vaccine that is being considered.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a collaboration issue, trying to collaborate and
that's to address your concern.
Exactly.
Anyway, well, I hope Yemi Adamolekun will wade in and help us to clarify this. It's time for a short break here on Thisday Live Sunday Talk Show. When we return, the conversation will continue. Welcome back to Thisday Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Still with me, I have Professor Bola Akintenewa, Director General, Bolitech Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies. Yemi Adamolekun, Executive Director, Enough is Enough. Professor Victor Ariole, Professor of French and Francophone Studies, University of Lagos here in Nigeria. Well, Yemi, let me come to you right away. I have in the studio here two professors who are anti-vaxxers and who have been arguing against some of the points made by our guest, Dr. Mukhtar Muhammad. I'd like you to please comment. I hope you are not another anti-vaxxer.
Well, not at all. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yes.
Not at all. I think my angle, and we're going to do it anyway, so let's just focus on how best to do it for equity. I'll leave the professors to talk about the politics of vaccinations, which is quite, it's quite real, let me put it that way. But to the point about AstraZeneca and choice, Professor Akintayewa is quite correct. In terms of efficacy, it has the lowest one through trials as compared to Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. But then again, to Professor Riole's point, when you're in a position where you are not producing yourself, and you have not positioned yourself to be able to negotiate effectively, you are basically at the short end of the stick where you take what is available to you to at least do the best that you can. We've talked about India in the past and what India is doing with its own vaccine diplomacy, they're calling it, ability to donate vaccines to different countries as a hand of good faith, as a gesture of, I don't even know what to call it. But even for Canada, I believe they're donating vaccines to Canada, if I'm not mistaken. So the fact that we are not producing locally, we have not invested in the capacity to, not because we don't have the brain power, as we've seen some of our leading lights working in other countries and being part of this process in other countries. It's just, again, speaking to the poor governance choices that we've made and how they eventually show up in how we operate. But what I would like to discuss more specifically that the coordinator didn't speak to is this their teach strategy, which you asked him about it, but he kind of glossed over it. If you've opened a platform and people are e-registering, or you say you realize that others who don't have access will have to go through healthcare providers, what is the strategy for that? I didn't hear him talk about that. So for those who don't have internet access, who are also within the age bracket of this first phase, after health workers, those of a certain age who might have underlying issues, how do those people who are not online get registered? I didn't hear him speak about that. That's number one. And number two, he spoke about glitches, but he wasn't quite detailed, and I wish I'd gotten a chance to ask him. When they opened the platform, the design of the platform should have been that if you are not if you're not a health worker and not a senior citizen with an possible underlying issue, it should not have given you a date to come and get the vaccine, but it did. So I know quite a few of my friends who were able to get dates who don't fit in that category. Some did not. So it depended. So that was what that glitch was. So I wanted to hear him speak about what they're doing to then rectify that, since people who don't qualify, who are 35, 40, were able to get dates. And he specifically said that this first batch was for healthcare workers and older citizens. So we're going to do it. We're going to get the vaccines. We're going to get different types. That's also another thing to watch out for. So this is AstraZeneca. If someone donates Johnson & Johnson, we'll get that. So another part of the population will get that. Then another part of the population will get Pfizer, ensuring that our database is strong enough to be able to map the vaccines that people get. So if issues do come up, they're not 100% foolproof. One is able to tie it back to the vaccine they got and be able to do proper analysis and study for future use.
Well, Yemi, the two professors here with me in the studio, they would like to respond to some of the issues raised. But I would like to ask you to comment on the symbolism, the significance of the fact that President Buhari and Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo led the process and publicly took the vaccine. How important is that?
Oh, it's extremely important, I think. I think it's really good that they did it, even though, Nigerians being as cynical as they are and government being untrustworthy as is proven, some people still was wondering if it was really true. Somebody was joking that the injection into President Buhari's arm was taking too long. But I think it is extremely significant, and I'm glad that they did do that. And then obviously there was also the conversation around why was it at a banquet hall? Why didn't they use the State House Clinic, for example? Why the pomp and pageantry? And I guess it ties a bit to just the way we like to do things. A lot of pomp and pageantry. I mean, we had I don't know, 6 ministers on a tarmac to receive vaccines. Really, vaccines that you did not publish, you did not manufacture. Just collect it and be okay with life. But anyway, yeah. But to your point, very significant, and I'm glad they're leading by, at least in that regard, they're definitely leading by example.
Well, some guy wrote on Twitter that I was sure it was the vaccine that the president took and not a multivitamin. You know, raising the question about trust issues between Nigerians and those who lead them.
Yes.
Professor Ariole, you wanted to make a point.
No, see, my only worry is the management process of the vaccine in terms of delivery and giving it to those who are supposed to have it for now. Knowing that it's of a limited quantity, the expectation is that people who understand what is the rules of just-in-time. Just-in-time in production management is that you pick it and you deliver it straight ahead without wasting time. I expected that within 1 week, we would have finished about delivering what we have on this Oxford brand of vaccine. And we know that below 80 degrees centigrade, if it goes below, or what
this particular AstraZeneca vaccine, the storage is +2 +8 degrees centigrade.
Oh, +2 +8.
Yeah, just regular refrigeration.
Whatever it is. And of course, we know currently in Nigeria or Maiduguri or wherever, Nigeria is experiencing about 35, 34 degrees centigrade.
37.
So we should know that we wouldn't have wasted time. Within 1 week, we would have finished distributing. People would have known those to get these jabs. And straight ahead, within 1 week is over. We shouldn't be talking about it, and the vaccine is still there, and we don't need the Nigerian factor. Before you know it, we'll be having issues of people breaking stores and breaking to appropriate it by force. So you see, problem of management is not there. We are not planning well. We are not foreseeing the right thing to do before ever the thing lands or landed in Nigeria. And we can see that it is not going to help at all. And as you said on equity distribution, nobody is expecting any equity distribution in this limited dose that we have now. I expected the Nigerian leaders or authorities to think like the Canadian thinking process of anybody coming to Nigeria or leaving Nigeria should deposit about $2,000 so that health immunization will be projected. Seriously, Canada is saying 2,000, which is too big. Within Nigeria, you should say $500. If you are going out of Nigeria or coming in Nigeria, the dose will be there for you to take the jab, and you deposit 500. So that the health immunization we are talking about, getting 140 million Nigerians to get the vaccination is not easy. Government cannot provide it. So this is the best way. Put it at the entry points. And so when people are coming in and going out, they drop $500. It will help to get more Nigerians vaccinated. Seriously. Because this I don't see anything.
Coming from a professor who says he will not take the jab.
No.
Until other people take it.
I know where I can take it. But not Nigeria specifically. I know where I can take it.
There you are.
Yeah. I just think that in Nigeria, every policy measure is always at least partly meant to punish goodness, to punish honesty of purpose.
But COVID-19 immunization is to save people.
No,
it's to rescue people.
It's not.
From a scourge.
It's not. That's why I say partly. Look at it this way. Now, conspiratorially, quote and unquote, it is said that if you are not vaccinated, if you are not given a vaccination certificate, then you cannot travel to Nigeria or outside of Nigeria, you can't travel. Now, I ask...
That is not yet official.
Please. Already, they are discussing this globally. Our president already...
Vaccine passport. You are talking about vaccine passport.
It's the same thing. It's an evidence of certification.
The e-vaccination certificate is also...
It is there.
Now.
And the word they use, quoting President Muhammadu Buhari, it says federal government mulls, M-U-L-L-S, meaning considering. We don't know the outcome yet. They should know...
No, that's the newspaper headline.
I'm coming.
Off.
I'm coming. I say they are quote.
That's not the word of the president.
Okay.
That's
sensational.
No, it's not sensational. It's a sub-editor's
That's
choice.
what I have put it in entre guillemets, that is in inverted commas. Now, in this case, I do not have COVID-19, then I go for test.
You don't know.
Hold on. I know.
How?
Because I know I don't have it. I don't have the symptoms. I don't have anything. Even if you are talking about being symptomatic. But the point I'm making is if I go to a medical doctor, appropriate doctor, certified doctor, and I'm giving evidence of a certificate that I am COVID-19 free, why should you deny me of the opportunity of traveling out? Why must I hold your own certification? So this is the issue. So when you are honest, when you are trying to be law-abiding, there will always be a law to punish you. And this is not acceptable. Look at the president showing the certificate of his vaccination. You require that one, according to many countries now, when you are booking your ticket, etc. If you don't show this, they say they are not selling to you. Mm-hmm. So this is recolonization in a different form. Globalization is taking a new dimension.
And it's on the internet too.
It's on yes, it's there.
Your name is attached to any vaccine given to you.
Well, Professor Akinteru, I'm sure this is not a subject we can exhaust in just one episode. Let's move on, and we'll take the next subject, and it also has to do with the Nigerian government and President Muhammadu Buhari. President Muhammadu Buhari has declared Zamfara state a no-fly zone, following the release of all 279 girls kidnapped from government girls' science secondary school in the state. This decision was made at the National Security Council meeting in Abuja, where he also approved a ban on mining activities by non-state actors as part of efforts to curb the rising insecurity in the state. The National Security Advisor gave a briefing after the meeting, saying the government will not hesitate to use kinetic means to restore normalcy in the country. He stated further that defense and intelligence organizations have been mandated to ensure the country does not slide into anarchy. Meanwhile, as calls rise for an extension of the no-fly zone to Benue, Taraba, and Borno states, the opposition People's Democratic Party, PDP, says the Nigerian government is trying to take over the running of Zamfara state by putting in place a state of emergency. The PDP National Publicity Secretary accused the All Progressives Congress, APC, of planning to undermine and subvert the democratic order in the PDP-controlled Zamfara state by creating the impression that the state government is at fault for the insecurity. Okay, we'll take a short break now. When we return, Professor Akinteru, Professor Ariole, and Yemi Adamolekun will discuss this issue. Welcome back to Thisday Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Well, I still have with me in the studio Professor Bola Akinteru, former Director General, Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, currently Director General, Bolitag Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies. Yemi Adamolekun is also here. She is Executive Director in Office of, and Professor Victor Ariole, Professor of French and Francophone Studies, University of Lagos. Well, before we went on break, I was reporting on the directives, the outcome of the National Security Council meeting by President Buhari on Zamfara State and also Nigeria. Well, let's take a look at the outcome of that meeting with this video.
Now, His Excellency the President has approved, based on our recommendation, the imposition and enforcement of a ban on all mining activities in Zamfara State with immediate effect until further notice. He has directed the Honorable Minister of Defense and the National Security Advisor to deploy massive military and intelligence assets to restore normalcy to that part of the country. He has also approved that Zamfara State be declared a no-fly zone with immediate effect. Now, all non-state actors that have been causing problems for the innocent peoples, not just in Zamfara State or the Northwest Zone, but also the Northeast and other parts of the country and the South-South, have been placed under surveillance by the intelligence agencies.
Well, the National Security Advisor there giving a report of the outcome of the National Security Council meeting. One other thing that should be added to that is the fact that the President also directed at that meeting that anybody that is found with an AK-47, whether it's AK-47 or AK-49, should be shot on site. That has generated quite some concern. But there are people who say that, well, this is good, that the President is putting his feet down, saying, look, no-fly zone, mining activities suspended, and that perhaps this will help. But, well, of all value, is it in real terms? Yemi Adamolekun, I would like to come to you very quickly. What's your assessment of these latest measures by the President?
Well, are sort of knee-jerk measures, in my opinion, and I'm not a security expert by any stretch of the imagination. But I do think that what we haven't seen is a holistic approach to the security situation in the country. There are continued efforts for state policing so that state governments have more powers. I engaged a member of the National Assembly, I think 2 days ago, and his point was that it cannot be taken out of the package of the constitutional amendments. He didn't explain why, and I'm not quite sure I understand why that can't be done given the state of emergency that we're in. But it reminds me of the fact that it was actually the attempt to take that out that stopped President Obasanjo's third term, because in a sense they threw that out with the rest of the constitutional amendments. So that ended amendments that we could have gotten at that point. So I'm not quite sure, really, to be honest, why it can't be, the process for it can't be fast-tracked. So we move on with this thing. The NSA was talking about based on intelligence from them, the President made that decision. I honestly don't understand what a no-fly zone is meant to imply. All the people that have been abducted were abducted on foot. Pardon my ignorance, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I guess, for me, just the larger issue of I don't see from the federal government of Nigeria a holistic approach to insecurity in the country and how that they are planning to curb that.
Well, Yemi, thank you. Professor Adeole, let me come to you.
Well, my only worry is the mining situation in Zamfara. By what the governor was saying, it seems those people there have license to mine. I don't know. And the Nigerians are worried also by what's going on in Zamfara mining-wise. It seems it's like unofficial mining processes, but the governor is telling us that they have licenses to mine. And I expect the government to really take care of them and not really to completely stop them. But on no-fly zone, I quite agree, but I wouldn't even expect it to be Zamfara alone. I will expect it to be all the bordering states with Niger Republic, because Sokoto is there, Zamfara is there, and Katsina. These three states that are very, very northwest Nigeria, that are very close to...
Contiguous.
Yes, they are very close to... They are bordering states. They have a borders with Niger Republic or Niger. So they're supposed to be no-fly zone, because we all know that there is a drone village in Niger Republic or Niger Republic where the West, I wouldn't mention a country now, operates very well. So anything can come from.
In Niger Republic.
So there is drone village, drone center in the Niger Republic. Anything can go on there, and they can easily fly into either Sokoto or Katsina or Zamfara. So it's not only Zamfara. Sokoto, Zamfara, and Katsina are supposed to be no-fly zone, because they will be dropping ammunition from those areas. That people know. Security intelligence have already reported such things. So when you just exempt Zamfara alone, you now give them more rooms to go and drop them in Sokoto and Katsina, which will still find its way into Niger State, where there are more problems now. So we should not only limit it to Zamfara, carry it also Sokoto and Katsina, and that will make it very, very equitable in terms of securing Nigerian territory. Seriously.
Professor Akintenewa, although we have 2 minutes to break.
Well, let's begin with the issue of no-fly zone. To a great extent, I share the viewpoint of Yemi without necessarily disagreeing with you, because some Nigerians protested in front of the French embassy in Abuja, accusing the French of aiding and abetting Boko Haramism in Nigeria. And with the drone, the military cooperation with Niger and France, all those things, we really cannot tell who really is coming to aid and banditry in Nigeria. And when we are talking about mining now, the issue is at 2 levels. On the one hand, Zamfara State, as a constitutive state of Nigeria, does not have the right on its own to be mining. It's supposed to be the responsibility of the federal government. The issue has been raised that why do you condone mining? Why is the state of Zamfara mining what belongs to the federal government? And that will not be extended to Niger Delta in terms of oil, double standard. It has been raised. Another argument is this. The National Security Advisor, who is talking about state of emergency authorized by the president, is from Borno State. And observers are now saying, why haven't you declared a state of emergency in Borno? In the past 10 years, Boko Haramism has been there all along. Why is it now in Zamfara State? Is it because they say Zamfara State is run by a PDP, opposition governor, and that this time you now want to take that one over?
Well, certainly, Prof, these are pertinent questions, but let's take this commercial break, and then we'll be right back. Welcome back to Thisday Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Still with me, I have Professor Bola Akintenewa, Director General, Bolitac Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies, former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs. Yemi Adamonlekun is also here. She is Executive Director, Enough is Enough, and of course, Professor Victor Ariole, Professor of French and Francophone Studies at the University of Lagos, Nigeria. Well, before we went on that break, Professor Akintenewa, you were talking about the political dimension of the problem with... Please go ahead. Yes.
Now, I want to ask a question. Shoot at sight. Shoot on sight. I ask the question, if Mr. President means that the military will shoot at sight, I now ask, who is to be shot at sight? Because there's ambiguity in it. What do I mean by that? It is not the armed bandits, either in Zamfara, in Borno State, the Boko Haramis that we are talking about. The herdsmen, the Fulani herdsmen, are also carrying AK-47, if not AK-49, the more sophisticated version of it. Now, where do they operate? They are in the bushes, for instance. They are on the farmlands. Can, for instance, the local farmer shoot at sight when he's not in possession of an AK-47, for instance? In other words, for you to be able to shoot at sight a carrier of AK-47 rifle, then you too must be a holder of the same weapon. And then you must be able to shoot at sight first before being shot by the carrier. We have a video, for instance, either it's in the Niger Delta, in Port Harcourt, we don't know. According to which, for instance, in the video, we have some armed bandits, they came, they were at the gate, and they requested to go in or to go into the police. 3 policemen came out, and they wanted to go and attend to go and find out. They also were carriers of guns. But as they were coming out, they were shot, the 3 of them, and killed. Which means who kills first? But my concern is that a farmer, a local farmer on his farm, cannot shoot at sight a carrier of AK-47. So this directive does not address the real situational problem on ground. The government is only looking at armed bandits in a battlefield, okay? A carrier of AK-47 wouldn't tell you when he's coming. They've been killing, they are on roads, and they will be shooting at policemen checking, policemen at a distance. So I think we really need to address this problem more scientifically and constructively, rather than just making statements. The second point of observation is this. Whenever the president gives a fresh order, step up your strategy and make sure you contain all this. Thereafter, the armed bandits, the Boko Haramis will always respond. They have always been reacting to every statement the government makes. And I'm saying that, look, if we do not want these Boko Haramis, these armed bandits to be attacking, shouldn't we stop giving orders publicly, which now appears to be infuriating the insurgents? It's a question. Because I ask myself the coincidence with that. Whenever they are telling the armed chiefs, you are great, you must defeat them, then they will now come back and attack.
Well, I guess all of this is deja vu. I mean, the statements, the circumstances, all look so familiar.
Hearing, of course,
we have new service chiefs, but not much has changed. The French will say, c'est la même chose. Well, Yemi, are you with us? Yemi, do you agree with Prof? Yemi Adamalekun. Okay, let's take another subject, I guess. On Wednesday, the Amalgamated Union of Foodstuff and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria agreed to resume the supply of food items to southern states, ending the 7-day-old blockade. The union embarked on a protest against the alleged killing of members of its union and the extortion and harassment by law enforcement agencies on the highways. The union demanded a payment of 4.75 billion naira compensation for the lives of its members and properties lost during the #EndSARS protest and the Shasa crisis in Oyo State from the federal government. Following the meeting, Governor Yahaya Bello presented the demands of the union to President Buhari, who said his belief in the indivisibility of Nigeria remains firm and the unity of the country is non-negotiable. He went on to speak on his concerns over the issue of insecurity in the country, while commending the resolution of the earlier misunderstanding between northern food traders and their southwestern counterparts. Well, Professor Ariole, let me start with you. This was the issue after the incident in Oyo State, in Udo State, and particularly in Shasa community in Oyo State. People who supply food from the food basket of the country in the northern parts then decided that they would place a blockade. They also had other demands, and we saw the effect of that. My own reading, in terms of the implications, is that in this country, whatever may be the issue, whether in relation to security or food, we seem to all need each other. But I don't know what you think.
No, but I'm just worried because it seems very political. Everybody knows what Yaya Bello could be up to, of course. And
no, it was an intermediary.
No, it can't just be an intermediary like that. Something must have happened before. No, I know. But you remember he said he went with Fani Kayode to the president. And you know who Fani Kayode is also. Of course, I'm not saying that they are very negative people.
No,
they are claiming to be...
No, you are characterizing people.
No.
Let's deal with the issue.
Yeah, the issue is that, you see, this is a governor within what we call the confluent states of Benue and Niger River. These are areas things come into the south. Why is it not that Benue that goes to Soka, to Enugu, such things was not seen there? It's still within either Kogi or Kwara coming to southwest and that we notice more of such things. I wouldn't say, see, Nigeria is so much politicized in everything that everything you talk about, politics will come in. There is no way poor people who are selling tomatoes and pepper and onion will allow their wastage to come to their product simply because they don't want it to go to the south. And we heard that at the point they stopped sending it to the south, a basket of onion that is about 5,000 or thereabout, or 15,000 when they bring it to south, entered into 5,000 range, which means they are losing 10,000 thereabout. Which poor people who are, we know in the farming area that are mostly peasant process, how they eat from hand to mouth, will allow such wastage to come to them. If not that people, definitely some people must have supported them, telling them, don't worry, we will see. That's why you are now calling out 4.7 something billion, whether EndSARS or whatever. I don't expect poor people to really. I expect majority of them are in the bracket of the poor Nigerians, for no doubt about that. I don't expect them to be the ones leading that kind of blockade. Somebody must have been behind them. Like we are talking of the herdsmen and the bandits. We all know that some people are behind those herdsmen and bandits, forcing them and pushing them to go into action to cause confusion. These poor people who are in farm and trying to bring here their products so as to make up some 1 naira, 2 naira, won't be the real leaders of blocking road coming to south. And what are the governors doing as the security officers of those areas? They're supposed to come quickly and intervene and disperse them from that road. But if they are not doing it and they prefer to wait and go to the president and now canvass for how much they are going to be given as a compensation, then you have to know what it is. That's what Nigeria is turning to now. We must be very careful. That's all.
Yemi Adamalekun, if you are there, if you are with us right now, what do you think? This food blockade and the politics between the North and the South in terms of food supply, demand and supply politics?
I'm not sure it's demand and supply. I mean, there was also a planned boycott of beef that didn't quite work out well. And you were talking, when Professor Ariole was speaking, you were talking about characterizing people. Yeah, I mean, people's antecedents set up precedents for them to be characterized in particular way based on what they've said and how they've behaved. One thing is clear about Yahaya Bello is that he's put himself in the middle. The quote attributed to him on a few papers this day is that he averted a civil war. And so when using words like that already says a lot, let me put it that way, because of not only how you see yourself, some grand, and he's posturing to be president, he's planning to run for president. We've seen posters, his youth and whatever, women mobilizer for APC, even though there's a commissioner in his cabinet that's been accused of sexual harassment that the state is shielding. So all those things are there. So when Professor Ariole is speaking, those are the facts of the matter. He's not being sentimental about it. But again, this is my song and dance on this platform, as with others. If we don't discuss how we are together as a nation, then we'll continue to have these issues: beef boycott, North-South blockade, attacks of different ethnic groups in our states. And that again goes back to a lack of holistic approach to a discussion about security. It's the same way we're not holistically discussing how we engage as citizens and how we see ourselves as citizens of the same country who have the same rights. If I'm in Zamfara or Lagos, if I'm in Ondo or Taraba, as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, my rights are inalienable. But if those rights are not respected by the state, i.e. federal and the state level, then it's a bit of a stretch to then get upset or then penalize citizens when they don't respect those same rights. And until we have this conversation about who we are as Nigerians and how we relate and engage, we will continue to have all these things pop up. Blockade today, beef embargo tomorrow, burning markets the day after.
Yeah, Professor Akintenewa, well, we need to take a short break. Maybe you should hold your thoughts until we take that break. And when we return, we'll have Professor Akintenewa's insight on this particular subject. We'll be right back. Stay with us. This is Thisday Live, the Sunday talk show. Welcome back to Thisday Live, the Sunday talk show here on the Arise News channel. Still in the studio, I have Professor Bola Akintenewa, former Director General of the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, currently Director General, Bulitac Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies. Yemi Adamalekun is also here. She's Executive Director, Enough is Enough, and Professor Victor Ariole, Professor of French and Francophone Studies, University of Lagos. Well, Professor Akintenewa, we've been talking about the demands of the Amalgamated Union of Food and Cattle Dealers of Nigeria. Protest about the persecution, the killing of their members in the southern part of the country, and then they decided to embark on food blockade to the south. I've made the argument that, well, this shows the interdependence, because it's clearly very political. There are groups in the southern part of Nigeria, the Afenifere and other groups that have said, well, if they want to keep food from the north, the Yoruba people in the southwest will get food supply from neighboring West African countries.
Benin Republic.
Benin Republic specifically. What it shows is that we all need each other. I don't know whether you share that view.
We all need each other. Agreed. But what is the modality for the need? How do you explain what's the expression, what's the manifestation of the need? I agree in total with the submission of Yemi, and I concur also with the submission of Victor. You see, in Nigeria, generally speaking, we do not think until we are compelled to. We do not. Why? Under General Olusegun Obasanjo, that should be 1976, 1979, he came up with Operation Feed the Nation. Shehu Shagari, who succeeded electorally this time, came up with
Green Revolution.
Green Revolution. The cardinal purpose of the two schemes was simply to enhance food sufficiency, self-sufficiency, and production, and so on and so forth. What lessons have we actually learned from that? Under Olusegun Obasanjo, he was even saying, even if it's 1/4 plot of land, plant something. Now, when we talk about food blockade, I like it. There should really be food blockade. Why? Because it has compelled people to now reason. Don't always wait until you are confronted with problems. You must always strategically be thinking ahead. That's the first point. But when you want to engage in any food blockade, you should also be forward-looking in terms of its implications. Those who engage in it, they easily forget that you rightly pointed out there are alternative means. You need money are you giving food to Southerners free of charge? You take money, it's your own revenue, you deny yourself. Afterwards, most of the goods are also perishable. I think we should go back to the old regime of farm settlements that we started in the 50s.
Well, thank you, Prof. Very quickly, we'll take our last subject of the day. The Pope arrived in Iraq on Friday for a historic 4-day visit amidst security concerns and a rise in COVID cases in the country. Iraq deployed thousands of additional security personnel to protect Pope Francis during the visit, which comes after a spate of rocket and suicide bomb attacks. His whirlwind tour covers 4 cities in the north and south of the country, taking him by plane, helicopter, and armored car to areas that most foreign dignitaries are unable to reach. Pope Francis and Iraq's top Shiite cleric delivered a powerful message of peaceful coexistence on Saturday, urging Muslims in the war-weary Arab nation to embrace Iraq's long-beleaguered Christian minority. He also spoke on the plight of the Christian minority in the country, condemning extremism in the name of religion. Iraq has been racked by religious violence, both against minorities, but between Shia and Sunni Muslims also. They condemned violence in the name of God as the greatest blasphemy and said the country has suffered far too much. Well, very quickly, the Pope said in Iraq, we need one another. Yemi Adamalekun, let me come to you very quickly. We have just a few minutes left. The Pope's visit to Iraq, how significant?
Well, 2 things. One, the Pope was not wearing a mask. That was a bit disturbing. But the second thing, I mean, as they say, in the things of the Spirit are spiritually discerned. Given the times that we're in and what is needed, I don't know the Pope's mind or what he saw, why he felt this was the time to go to Iraq, given what is happening in the world. But I'll defer to, there we go. And that image is wearing a mask. Okay, I feel better. Thank you. I'll defer. I honestly would just defer to what he felt was a compelling need. The COVID times, they say it's essential travel. So obviously, I choose to believe that he thought it was essential, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, Professor Akintanewa, very quickly.
What I admire in the whole visit is just the way he decided to even apologize, all right, and asking God to just intervene. When I compare his statement with the statements made by those killing Christians, that change your faith, become Muslim, or we kill you, or pay tax, the very hostile conditions for Christians to live in Iraq. When I look at that, with the Pope coming and now praying for them, I studied the statement and asking God, look, please, come and bless, come and forgive all those who have actually persecuted us indirectly. I think we should really follow the leadership by example given by the Pope, and I think it is quite commendable. But I do not believe that this peaceful coexistence between proponents of Islamic faith and Christian, whether there can never be, we can be dreaming of it, but it's most left at the level of dream.
Well, I mean, the Pope's main message is about unity, it's about peace. And he visiting the desert city of Ur, which is said to be the original home, the birthplace of Abraham, the father of faith, as we say in Christianity, is also very symbolic. But, Prof, Professor Ariola, your viewpoint.
My view, you know, the Christians in Iraq have been down half from their normal, from the normal count of about 1 million. 1.4. Yes, and now they are just down to about 50,000. You see, which means the persecution is too much. And we know Iraq, this Sunni and the Shia war even, within them, it's already tough, not to talk of minority Christians among them. Those ones are really highly endangered. And like they do in some areas, they create maybe a zone for them and protect them. That's what I expect the Pope to really be talking about there, so that they will be protected, not necessarily mouth talk or just asking the leadership to be peaceful in their activities, or those who are in Shia or Sunni camp to respect the Christians. We know for sure it's not going to be possible. But what could be possible is really protection of the Christians, whatever it is, even if it means carving a small area for them to allow them to be.
But the message about peace and unity and reconciliation is still very important. And the visit of the Pope is quite symbolic. Well, thank you, Professor Ariola. Thank you, Professor Akintenewa. And thank you, Yemi Adamolekun. You've been watching Thisday Live, the Sunday talk show here on Arise News. I'm Ruben Abati. From our entire team here in Lagos, it's bye for now. And thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again next Sunday. Thank you.